There is something that God gave me many years ago, and it took me a long time to get in it because of that people-pleasing quality, is live for the audience of one. If you live for the audience of one being God, He is my audience. He is the one that I do whatever I do for. I do all things unto Him. If you get that in the state of mind, nobody else opinion or thoughts have to validate you because you're doing it for God. You're showing it for even work, as much as it has not is no longer a place of comfort for me. I still show up and do my best work because I'm doing it for Him. I'm not doing it for them. And so when you get that in your mind, it kind of gives you permission to just be. It gives you permission to show up the way God intended. Welcome to the R.E.S.T movement, where we release every single thing. Hey, y'all. Welcome to another episode of the R.E.S.T movement podcast. I am your host, Renee Youngblake, the Nugget Dropper, and to my right,
I am Sonja, the soul stirrer.
So she's still stirring, she's still cooking, and we like it. So we're so glad you're here. If this is your first time with us, we need you to click that subscribe button. You can go ahead and click like because you're going to like it. And after this, make sure you share. Make sure you comment if you feel like it. We like to hear your comment because it tells us if we're being impactful, if there's something else you want to talk about, if there's something else we need to be talking about. We love all of it. So we are grateful. I hope you've been watching. We have several episodes ahead of this one that you can check out. But tonight we're talking about, we were talking about an episode ago about why so many strong women cope, they don't heal. And I wanted to talk about something that we all experience at some point today, and it's called stress. And we want to go from stress to rest. That's what this episode is about. Why so many women are tired, even when they're still showing up. We want to turn that stress into rest, not just the rest that you're thinking, but in that release every single thing kind of rest. Stress is not a personality trait, it's information. Okay. So today we're talking about what it really looks like to move from stress to rest. This isn't about slowing your life down. It's about realigning. It's about living lighter, living freer, reducing the stress. Because the truth of the matter, as a biologist by degree, not biology was my first degree, nursing was my second degree. I know that our bodies work naturally off of stress. It is why our pressure goes up and our heart rate changes. Those shifts happen because there's a balance that is being attempted by our bodies naturally, the way God made it so things balance out. So things work off of stress, but not the kind of stress that we place upon our bodies. Our bodies have their natural stress maneuvers that happen in there that they don't need any help from us. We're talking about the different kind of stress, and we want to make sure that we understand you can't be productive and still be profoundly misaligned, and stress will not allow you to be aligned. So let's just get into it. I have shared with you how I allowed the stress of my life, how I have allowed so many things in my life to get me to this point, and that it took my body being shut down for me to recognize the level of stress that I had in my life. And it wasn't necessarily stress that I was putting on myself. It was stress that I was allowing others to put on me. And maybe it was stress that I was putting on myself because I was allowing it. I talked about that people pleaser in me, allowing things to happen because I wanted people to like me. And having this platform, having these discussions is so that somebody like me, somebody who was experiencing things like I was experiencing now, what I used to experience, can now have this moment of freedom to be able to relieve things and not just stay where we are. We should always be evolving and becoming better and allowing our experiences just to be that, not allow experiences to keep us stuck like an anchor, but allow those experiences to help us learn from them and soar. When we can flip the script on the enemy, because you know the enemy meant it for evil, but God will make it good. Stress is often misunderstood as pressure or busyness, but stress is what happens when responsibility, expectation, and emotions pile up without release. All of these things pile up. That's what your stress is. Stress shows up when you're managing outcomes. It shows up when you're anticipating everyone's needs. It shows up when you're staying mentally on all the time. I have difficulty at night sometimes shutting it down because my mind is always going. I'm always thinking about the next thing, always thinking about what I need to execute, always thinking about other people's something. And so is never a time, even in my sleep. If I don't go to sleep after 11:30, 12 o'clock, I will be back up at 3 or 4. So I have to go to bed. If I go to bed at 8 o'clock or 9 o'clock, like normal people, I will be back up at 12 or 1 o'clock. And then I'm up. And now I'm doing something. I'm going to be writing. I'm going to be creating something. I'm going to be thinking. And then here comes 4 or 5 o'clock. Now I'm like, and that's the time I'm supposed to be getting up. But now I'm trying to wind back down. And so that always being on. Stress isn't just external, it's internal tension. And we have to work on that. Stress is the weight of too much responsibility held on too long. So my question, when did you realize stress had become your normal?
I don't know that I have realized that I'm really stressful. I may have been stressful years ago when I was making sure my daughters were able to attend college and things of that nature, after my divorce, because I didn't know how I was going to handle all of that. And
But you did it, girl.
thank you,
And them
Jesus.
and them girls.
Yeah.
Because that's what we do, right?
Right.
I can tell you, we were having a conversation a few days ago, maybe, about something, getting out of your own head. Maybe it was this morning, getting out of your own head and the stress that you're placing on yourself.
Oh, and see, I didn't identify that as stress.
Yeah,
I identify that as fear and uncertainty.
yeah, but that fear and uncertainty is stressing you because now God has hit you back in the face with it like, ma'am, you have what you need. And now you're like, oh gosh, well, how am I going to do this? You text me back about 45 things you have to check off in order to be able. And I'm like, why? Why do you need all that? Have you even investigated point one to even know that you need what you're saying you need it? Because it's going to stop you and pause you and not allow you to do what you know you're supposed to be doing.
She's right.
It's so deep in you and you're so gifted, but fear will cause the stress. Fear will cause the anxiety. Fear will cause the sleepless nights because now it's on you and you know you have to do it. And if you're not careful, when the Bible tells us to be anxious for nothing, but by prayer and supplication, let your request be made known unto God, is because He knows you're about to get stressed you about to have some anxiety. And I'm already telling you, I texted you, God don't give vision without provision. So if He's giving you the vision for all of this, all you have to seek out is what the provision is. You don't have to make it happen. He gonna make it happen. Because he told you to see what he wants you to do.
So true.
He gave you the idea. But we will stress. And when I'm telling you, I can share this because prior to July last year, if God had told me you got until April next year to quit your job, I would have been a basket case. I would have been calling you saying, girl, you won't believe what God told. I don't know how he think I'm going to do that. Has he looked at my bank account? Has he looked at, at debt ratio? But when I tell you, he told me, and all I said was, let's go. All right, April. And then there came a time, maybe towards the end of last year, I said, God, I don't know if I'm going to make it to April. I didn't hear him say, I'm able to express this now, but I didn't hear him say, you have until April. Meaning he knows his daughter. And he knows that I'm going to have some moments where I'm like, whoo, is this really what he want me to do? You sure this what we doing? But he made sure that I had something I was building. And I wasn't building it right away because March, when I first joined this morning meetup entrepreneur group, I was an imposter. I even started doing therapy because I was struggling with why am I here? What am I doing? And the therapist was the one who said to me, it sounds like to me you have imposter syndrome. And I had about one or two more sessions with her, and that was it. That's all I needed her to tell me. Once she unlocked that door, I went straight in. That's all I needed to hear. Oh, I'm thinking I don't belong here. And maybe a few days later, I posted on social media that wherever God says you can be, you have the right to be there. Don't talk yourself out of something that God said that you can have. It is a part of my morning declaration. I am God's daughter. I can do whatever he says I can do. I can have whatever he says I can have, and I can accomplish whatever he says I can accomplish. And I dare you to say something different.
Amen.
Don't even try it. But we will lead ourselves in that kind of stress. And I would have been that same person if God hadn't placed in me vision to know if he said it, that settles it.
Mm-hmm.
And that's all I need. So again, stress is what happens when responsibility, expectation, and emotion piles up without release. It just keeps piling up. Stuff keeps piling up. We don't deal with it. It's going back to that coping. We just keep letting it pile up until one day it is the pile up is so high, we don't know how to get around it. We don't know how to get over it. We don't know how to clean it up. We don't know how to shift it or move it because we haven't addressed it. It is the way I know some people, and I'm sorry if this touches any of you or this means something realistic that has happened in your life to you or anyone else. There have been women and men who had cancer diagnosis, could see that something was happening and didn't do anything about it because they were in denial and it just kept piling up. They thought just not thinking about it, not talking about it, not dealing with it, that it would just go away. I lost the last my last hairstylist in that way. And even now, it still breaks my heart when I tell you I loved her. She was vibrant. She loved her children with such great passion. And I had stopped going to her because I had started wearing my hair natural. And occasionally I would go and let her braid my hair. We would have these, I would always go, Friday mornings were always my day. I would go Friday morning. Any beautician I've ever had in life, it's always been Friday morning. I want the first appointment because I don't want to wait. And I want to be first. I want you to start my hair. So somebody else start coming in and I wouldn't be there all day. But it would also give me time with my stylist to check in on them and have conversations. And it broke my heart because I said, had I still been going to her, I would have had a conversation and she would have told me, because she was also taking care of her aunt, who was her mom's sister. and her aunt was starting to act really strange, and she's like, I'm gonna have to, have to find a home for her, but I promised my grandmother that I would take care of her sister. But she's starting to act really erratic. And I texted her, I said, you need to take when's the last time she's been to the doctor? And she said, it's been a long time. I said, you need to take her. There are several things that I'm hearing and I'm seeing, and I believe that may be her diagnosis. And sure enough, she took her and found out the things that I was telling her she probably had. And she didn't live long, but it gave her peace because she really was heartbroken and struggling, stressing out with, if I do put her in a home, because none of my other family members will take her with them, I'm failing my grandmother who's no longer here, who I promised I would take care of her. I said, well, the best way to take care of her is to take her to the doctor because something's wrong. What you're describing is not normal, and we can't attribute it to what you think it is. It's going to be something more. And then to find out a few years later, she's left her young children because she did not. The doctors diagnosed, she never went back. And I don't even know how I got to that, but that stress, and I know that she was stressed out. When I started going back and looking at pictures of her on social media, I could see it in her eyes. And I'm like, had I been paying attention, I blame myself for a long time, and I'm not God, I blame myself because I could have told her, you need to follow up with that oncologist. You love your children. And the thought of leaving them behind would have shifted her. But, we got to take care of ourselves. We have to pause and take time to make sure we're not allowing stuff to pile up because we don't want to deal with it, because it's too stressful. Well, there's a way to get rid of stress. It's called release. And you can't release it unless you deal with it. And we got to deal. Don't like looking in the mirror all the time. I don't like, as I'm aging, I don't like always seeing what I see. But if I don't look in the mirror, I won't see it. I won't discover that there's some things that might fix what it is that I see. Or it might just be, I need to embrace what I see because it is beautiful to still be here, to even have those things that I see. Why women normalize stress. Women are often conditioned to normalize stress because strength is praised. We spent 3 episodes talking about strength and talking about being strong and being forced into it, and it being a label that we get to have, and we wear it like a badge of honor. I'm strong and they're praising me for it. And what does it get you?
I don't necessarily like to be known as that type of strong. And in so many ways, I'm not strong. I'm strong when it comes to survival, especially of others. Um, but the things I'm not strong in, I don't share. And I think I equate that to being fearful of a lot of different things. So um, I don't talk about them. I just kind of uh, dismiss them. Um, but the things that are important to me are usually things that have to do with me, have to do with my family and making sure they're okay. And so I have to be strong in those moments. So I don't know. I'm still a work in progress.
Work in progress, in process of becoming what God intended. That's what we all need to be. We often normalize stress because endurance is rewarded. That we are able to endure things. We are able to make it through things. Like, oh, girl, you strong. You've been through all of that. Oh my gosh, that would have took me out.
But think of the difference and if just like in what I just shared. That bothered you? Oh my goodness, you a wuss.
Yes.
Or I don't want you on my team. But a lot of that comes from also being empathetic.
And doing that to somebody will then cause them not to share, and then leads them to stress, leads them to struggle, because you just called them out on something. Just because if that was your cross to bear and you handled it well, doesn't mean that I'm going to handle it like you.
And
You
it's
know,
not fair.
and it's not fair to put people in those spaces.
And people do it all the time. You're the way you, now this is the thing though. This is what you say you would do, but you never been in that situation.
That gets on my nerves.
And so now you're condemning the person because they didn't handle it in the way you thought strength should show up.
Mm.
And so now you're bad mouthing them or you're belittling them. And so now you've put them in a place where they don't feel like they can trust you with their feelings, or they're going to hide how they really feel. And if you're someone that they really care about, or who they really value your opinion and the way you feel about them, it's also very crushing and hurtful. And you've taken them back 10 steps.
And if you're on the other side of that, and you are the one, not the one who caused somebody else, but you're the one who was offended, you were the one who they belittled or made you feel less valuable because you didn't handle it their way. There is something that God gave me many years ago, and it took me a long time to get in it because of that people pleasing quality, is live for the audience of one. If you live for the audience of one being God, He is my audience. He is the one that I do whatever I do for. I do all things unto Him. If you get that in the state of mind, nobody else opinion or thoughts have to validate you, because you're doing it for God. You're showing it for even work. As much as it has no longer a place of comfort for me, I still show up and do my best work because I'm doing it for Him. I'm not doing it for them.
Mm-hmm.
And so when you get that in your mind, it kind of gives you permission to just be.
Mm-hmm.
It gives you permission to show up the way God intended. It gives you permission not to allow other people who are flawed just like you. And if they looked in the mirror 1 minute, they would see all that stuff you pointing at me about is really you talking to yourself, because that's your mirror image. That's not mine. But we will listen to the mouths of other people, and those other people kind of shape how we feel about ourselves. And it creates stress.
And sadness.
Yes, absolutely. We are often again conditioned to normalize stress because rest is postponed. We put it off. I'll get to it. I'll take a nap later. I'll get to rest. I'll get, so everything is I'll get to it, instead of doing it now, instead of putting them on pause or putting it on pause and taking yourself a moment to just take a break. Stress becomes proof of value. Busyness becomes your identity, and peace gets delayed for I'll have peace someday.
I know that, I guess I haven't really sat down and identified what is stressful to me, because I don't be thinking of it as stress. But there are times when I'm mentally tired, and people have told me, like, I'm like, what are you doing this weekend? And they'll say absolutely nothing. And I said, that's awesome. Like, that's a good weekend. We deserve that.
They're saying it, or you're saying
No,
it?
they're
saying it.
So then I said, I'm going to have an absolutely nothing weekend. And I'm not doing it because my mind is telling me, why are you laying here? You got all of these other things to do. This is not where you need to be. And I'm guilting myself.
Lord have mercy.
And I know I need to rest, but I can't because I'm feeling guilty about just doing nothing. But I'm learning. I'm getting better at it.
And that is exactly what I'm talking about. That's exactly what we've been talking about, is the pressure we put on ourselves. Because I'm telling you, when I sit still too long, I feel inadequate. Like, why do you get the rest? Everybody else in the house can nap all day, be in their recliner with their feet up and not move. But the moment I do it, they don't say anything. I am so in my head that there are 5,000 things you're supposed to be doing right now. You don't have time to sit still. What are you doing? You sit up and get on your computer. Sit up, get up, go, get.
Yeah.
Like, no, today I am reclining in my own recliner, and don't call on me. Don't mess with me. Don't talk to me. Don't ask me for nothing. Go ask somebody else. There are more people in the house than me.
It's a good space.
It's a good space.
Free yourself.
Stop delaying peace for someday. There's no greater day to have peace than right now.
Yeah.
No greater day. No greater time.
Totally agree with that.
Because when we don't take that peace now, later may not even come. Because stress will lead you to stroke. Or stress will lead you to hypertension that you don't know is happening. And that hypertension is the silent killer because it causes stroke, and then you're out of here.
Peace.
And we don't have to do that.
Nope.
We don't have to succumb to illness because we won't deal with what God is revealing to us in this very moment, because he's talking to you. He's talking to you. You can stop pretending and saying this. You thinking of who else you can send this episode to. You can send it to somebody else, but he's talking to you. We didn't normalize stress because it was healthy. We normalized it because it was expected. Stress is expected. Where do you think women learn to tolerate stress instead of questioning it?
Learn to tolerate it? You mean like on a job?
Anywhere. Because, we'll let our children stress us.
And we always want to, our lives, our families, because our elders are watching us and how we handle our families, how we handle our relationships, how we raise our children, how they behave, and
Whew.
those types.
They will see how your children behave and always assume that it's because of the way you are raising them or not raising them.
Which is really none of their business.
As if we totally have control over any other human.
Right.
And sometimes what we quench or attempt to quench in our children is God's creativity in them. And instead of watching them and seeing what it is and guiding them into something that expression or that behavior could it's just like little boys have testosterone. They are going to bounce off the walls unless you allow that release. Let them be busy. They can't just sit still. They're not little girls. Allow them to be expressive in the way that they need to be expressive. You have a child that just has something in them that people are trying to quench, and it's God's creativity in them.
And that is so poignant because I wish I could remember what Pastor Keith Battle said today about raising our children. And we're so busy trying to dominate them. We're not allowing them to, we're not creating them. Like, we want them to fit in this box. And we're so busy saying, don't do this. And we're not even seeing them for who God wants them to be, because we're too busy trying to get them where we want them to be.
Can I give you some revelation on that for children who are here in America? We can watch children who are not black and brown, and we will see them in the store, and we will see them be off the chain, and we don't see their parent stopping them, their parent allowing them to explore. In fact, the parent will just follow them in their exploration rather than saying, you get over here. But if you watch us in the way we are with our children, we all
say black and brown. Is that what you meant?
black. I'm saying if you look at black and brown children and you look at the people who are not black and brown,
okay,
and their children are all over the store and they're following their children in the store rather than you better get over here or giving them the eye like black and brown families do. We keep our children in check. It comes from slavery. You better keep quiet. Don't say nothing. So all we ever do is keep our children in line, and we quench their creativity. We quench their freedom. That's why their children grow up entitled, whatever the world brings me. But you go to other countries, to Africa. We went to visit them a few years ago, our grandson. He walking ahead of us. My husband and I are like, you gonna let him get, he's not gonna cross the street, he'll find, when he gets to the corner, he'll stop. She's said to us, children are valuable in their country and children are allowed to be free. And in fact, the men watch more over the children than the women. We were walking to a restaurant and grandson was having a meltdown about something. And the waitress came over and just took him from the table. And, Larry and I was looking at like, what's she doing? She's my daughter steadily eating. She not paying in any mind. She said, he'll be fine. He'll be fine. Does she know him? He'll be fine. Took him to the back. I don't know what she did. Brought him back, then brought him some extra whatever food. I'm like, Jesus, it's good.
So I need to visit.
Listen. Then we went to another restaurant, and my husband was a basket of nerves because these children, I swear, so we were in this inside part of this restaurant. These children with I guess their mom and maybe grandma and aunt or something were on like a balcony or a deck that was several rows over, but they were making so much noise. You look over there like, what's going on? These kids were doing cartwheels, flips. Nobody in the entire restaurant ever looked over there. The only ones who looked over there was us two Americans. Like, if you don't get your kids, but these kids were all over the place. They were going where they wanted. They were running over to people's tables and talking to people, and nobody flinched. And she said, because children are free to be children here. But we don't do that.
We don't do that for us either.
Right. Because we live
here, right?
It starts here. We live here, and we are like this. Because we're afraid if we make a move, we'll be arrested. If we make a move, we'll be like ISIS here, taking people away. And how this is able to happen to humanity. And the bottom line is America is a melting pot of people. Nobody belongs here. None of us were born here in our ancestry, except those who were here before we got here. But now you decide who can be here and who can't.
That's a whole nother episode.
That's a whole nother. Listen, I done got stressed out just talking about it.
Yeah, that's systemic racism.
But we have to get to a place where, as safely as we can, allow our children to explore, even if it's just in your home or in some safe spaces. Stop quenching the natural spirit that's in them to do. Start paying attention. This child that talks your ears off and is constantly talking just might be the next orator or someone who is going to speak profoundly in the world because they love talking. This person, this child who has no fear, but you keep putting fear in them, is one day going to be the one who's going to be some attorney who is fearlessly fighting for people, but you are quenching because you are stressed, that you are stressing them out and not allowing them to be who God intended for them to be. When stress becomes your identity, over time, stress reshapes identity. You stop asking, what do I need? You stop asking, what do I feel? We don't identify with it because stress keeps us bound to whatever our situation is. We don't ask ourselves, like, when I learn to say to myself, why did that offend me? Why am I triggered by that? Healing happened because I stopped allowing it. Like, why are you stressed out about that? Why are you offended by what they just said?
Mm-hmm.
Why do they have that much power?
Yeah.
Why have you relinquished power to them? I mean, really, truly, they have a right to say what they want, but you have a right to accept or not accept.
Mm-hmm.
It's not what people call you, it's what you answer to. So you can say that because, honey, I used to be behind the wheel, call me the can't even say it now, road rage queen. Back in the day when you could follow somebody. Let somebody put their finger up at me. Or let them cuss with their mouth, even if they're not saying it out loud, but they're moving their words and call me a B. Guess who's following behind them? Oh, you got something to say? I'm telling you, Sister Popoff. Sister Popoff has been delivered. I ain't road raging no more. Because now you get shot.
Help us, Lord.
No, now because I'm delivered. But in the same way I would do that, I also would see a parent talking to their child so horribly and breaking the spirit of that baby, talking to them like they're a grown person because you stressed out. You ain't in your right mind. So now this poor child has to deal with your unhealed self. I would say something. And my mother used to say, oh my God, one day you go. If you know, I'm like, I can't just allow, I know this child is going to go home and probably get the same thing, but I hope that the seed that I plant in that moment will allow that baby to know that's not normal. And one day they won't be hindered or hurt by it because that seed that I've sown, somebody else will come and will water it, and God will give the increase.
Usually happens one of two ways. They become their parent or they become the whole opposite of what their parent was, right?
Absolutely. Over time, stress reshapes identity. You stop asking what do I need? What do I feel? And you start asking what's next? Who needs me? What can't fall apart? We just become Debbie Downer and negative. Stress driven identity looks like overfunctioning, emotional containment, keeping emotions so contained that you never express how you feel.
Can I say something? It's kind of off, but
well,
so you said Debbie Downer, and that made me think of something. I used to date this guy, and he's like, "I'm sick of you, man." It's like, what? Yeah, I was like, realize it. No, what you're doing. And I never heard that before, but I was Peggy positive to somebody who was a Debbie, a Darnell Downer. Like I said, my ex back
Lord
in the day.
have mercy. I was getting ready to say something, and you threw me off. It's hilarious. Oh my gosh. Maybe it'll come back. We start asking again, what's next? Who needs me? What can't fall apart? Stress-driven identity looks like overfunctioning, emotional containment, just thinking about holding things in until you become explosive.
Ooh, we see that a lot.
And you spew out all of this all over people, and they had nothing to do with it because you haven't been dealing with that pile that you just keep letting pile up. And I can tell you, I used to be a person who did not communicate needs in relationships. I would just allow you to hurt me. My husband never has to worry about that because I don't listen. You will know exactly how I feel. You will never have to guess. If something bothers me, you're going to know about it. If you said something in a way that it was offensive to me, you're going to know about it. If I didn't like the way you responded to me, you're going to know about it. I don't always say it in the moment because I know when saying it will create an argument that is unnecessary, because it's never my desire to be in an argument. My desire is you to know more of who I am, me to know more of who you are, and then we are able to work in harmony, because that's what God wants. It's just like Jesus is one with the Father. We are one. Whatever way God moves, I move.
Right.
And that's the way he intended for our spousal relationships. When we move in harmony with one another. And you can't do that if all you want to do is be right. And you're creating stress piles for them. Like you got a stress pile. Now you want to give them some of your stress. Instead of, let's sit down and figure out how we both can get this pile out of here.
Very adult. That's adulting.
Yes, it's adulting. And sometimes if you're not married, or even if you're married and you got good sister friends, hey, I need help. I got this pile of stress. You mind coming over so we can just whittle down at this stuff, even if it takes us months to get, if I could just get some of it off the top, at least maybe I can see some light that's behind it, because the stress is blocking the light. How are we on time?
Well, we got about 5 more minutes.
All right, well, we'll just finish up this segment. Again, we're talking about stress becomes our identity. Again, stress-driven identity looks like overfunctioning, emotional containment, constant mental activity, constantly brewing information. I have shared with you guys how something would happen, and I'm just keep playing it in my mind. And the more I play it, the madder I'm getting. And now I'm creating whole scenarios. Now I'm like, yeah, well, you didn't say that when so-and-so said something. And so all the whole energy. Now I'm walking around with my jaws tight. Why? They don't even know. They're over whatever it was. They don't even know that anything offended you. They don't even know that what they said, because that wasn't what they meant. But you, my dear, have created this whole scenario and never asked a question, never sought clarity. And I believe when somebody says something to you, sometimes you just need to say it back. So what you're saying is so and such and such, because then you will find out that what you were hearing was not what they said. Even if they didn't say it right, the sender and the receiver are not on one accord.
Yeah, I agree. Questioning uh, to get clarity is very important.
Absolutely. And it's okay to do that. I have found that when you have boys, because we don't have the same amount of I think it's dendrites, synapses in our brain. Women have much more than men have. And so that's why if you give a man too many things to do, they hear the first thing and the last thing, but the things in the middle, they don't remember. And so I would say, if I give a task, would you hear me say? So that I know that they process it. A girl, you can give 1 through 5, and they'll remember the 5 things you've asked them to do. That's why your mama had you doing all that stuff, and Junior and Dino ain't had to do nothing. You had to carry it back because they weren't gonna remember. However, she could have given them. I'm still getting ready to get mad again. She could have given him one thing to do. I'm gonna have to, Mama Jane. We're gonna have a conversation. You should have gave him one thing. He could have washed the dishes or something. She could have supervised. Anyway, but if you pay attention, you had girls, so you know that you could give them tasks, and they, like girls, they could get stuff done. They may not have wanted to get it done.
Right.
Might have been a little rebellious, but
That's true.
they knew how to get it done. When stress becomes identity, rest feels unsafe. Rest feels unsafe because it's like, I shouldn't be resting. We talked about that. Yeah. Why are you resting? Rest feels unsafe. Like this, I'm not supposed to do this. But even God, when he created everything, he rested on the seventh day after his best creation. He's like, woo, he's divine. So he wasn't human saying, woo, I'm tired. But he gave us an example.
Yeah, he did.
And we need to use this example.
Yes, we do.
We got to rest.
Indeed.
It is safe to do that. It is okay to do that. In fact, it is safe to rest even when you have more things to do. I don't care about your things to do list because sometimes we got stuff on there we shouldn't be doing anyway. When was the last time we checked with God to say, should I be doing all of this? Do I need to go to these places? Do I need to do this and this and this? Probably not. Just because somebody invites you don't mean you need to go. Because going.
People pleasing thing.
People pleasing, you're going to be more stressed out when you leave because you know when you go to the thing that these people have, you never have any fun. You're always stressed out. There are some places I tell myself, do we have to go? Because I never have a good time there. I'm on pins and needles and stressed out. I'm not having fun. So, I mean, seriously, why are we going? Yeah, you right. I don't have no good time either. So why don't we go? Okay, they invited us. I don't even have to lie. No, I learned from this conversation, the next conversation book. You don't have to give an explanation. Thanks for the invitation, but no, I'm not coming. I don't have to say I don't have nothing else to do. I'm just not coming. I don't want to come.
And I've learned that in writing text out. I'm giving all of this. And I'm like, what? Nobody asked you that. And it's not necessary.
Listen, we will stress ourselves out. My niece and I were talking about that either this morning or yesterday. And I think she called me yesterday. And we always talk to each other on video. And we had talked in a few weeks, and we usually talk several times a week. But she was saying, she's been busy, been stressed out about certain things. And her husband is an HR director specialist. So she had done something to hurt her hand. And so she had to take off a few days from work. And when she called, usually because he told her, they don't need to know all that. Just say that you got a doctor slip or whatever. You give too much detail. She said, do you know when I called and I just told them that I have an injury and a doctor wants me because I'm in pain, the doctor wants me to be off for a few days. And that's all I said. She said, oh, Renee, I can't tell you how much better I felt. Because normally I go into this elaborate detail telling them all my business, and my husband's looking at me like, excuse me, they don't need to know all of that. That's not their business, and they can't make you tell them all of that. But we will. Text and text and text. And even when you text and you read what you said, then you go back and you erase that. If I say that, you're going through all of these things in your mind, stressing out how they're going to receive the text message. Send the text message. And I'm talking about myself. And with that, she's giving me the eye because this is the end of this episode. So last thing, I'm not going to ask the question. Maybe we'll pull this question back when we do a review because needless to say, this is a 2-part episode. So if you like this conversation, you like this episode, please share it with somebody else. And if you haven't yet, subscribe. There are so many things that God is doing, so many things that God is going to do, and we want you to be a part of the Nugget Tribe. So subscribe and become a part of the Nugget Tribe so that as we are growing and as our community is growing and more things are to come, you will be a part of it. And just recognize that you are a part of the beginning of what God is doing. So I am Renee Young Blake, the Nugget Dropper.
And I am Sonja, the Soul Steerer.
And we love you, and there's nothing you can do about it. Yep. See you next time. Bye. Thank you for watching the Rest Movement podcast. Remember, keep breathing, keep believing, keep becoming. Like, comment, subscribe, and share. See you next Friday.